Welcome back. Another episode. Round two. Round two. DP2A today offshoots. Today, we're going to cover some, let's say, topics in the news. Things that will just really just kind of get to me. You know what I'm saying? Things that just make you go, why is that a thing? And in fact, we're just going to start calling that. Like, why is that a thing? And then we're going to cover, again, maybe some heroic type stuff. Things that I think should be highlighted. And we'll pivot from there. Talk about the 2A stuff. There's a lot of things in the 2A that we need to cover. Maybe we'll get to all of it, maybe we won't, but we'll also do some reacts after that, some memes, a couple of videos. There's still all kinds of stuff at you. So here we go. All right, as we talked about, we're going to just kind of cover some events right now, some things that are just getting to me. Stuff gets to me sometimes, and maybe I shouldn't let some of this stuff get to me because it doesn't necessarily affect my immediate surroundings. However, this one subject we're going to get into today, wow. Again, we're going to have a category called Why Is That a Thing? So here we go. First thing, just like the last episode, we want to highlight some people, okay? A couple of heroes. Three of them in particular. But the first two, funny thing about them, I can't mention their names. I don't know their names. Their names are hidden to the public. Why? Because they're minors, but they are nonetheless heroes. First one, 11-year-old in North Carolina. We're going to put links for these stories down in the description there. 11-year-old in North Carolina sees a man attacking his pregnant mother. Has access to a firearm. Now, before everybody starts freaking out, oh my God, the 11-year-old had access to a firearm. Thank God. Maybe he had access to it because he had training for it. I'm guessing here. I'm totally guessing. Okay. Here's the cool thing. Access is a firearm. This person is breaking into their hotel room and takes care of business. Thank God. Because let's say this 11-year-old has nothing to defend themselves with. What could have happened? Could have been two lives, three lives lost, really. But in a similar situation, this was back in February. A 14-year-old. There was a homeless man breaking into this 14-year-old's family home, Texas. Now some of you are like, oh, Texas. He lives in Texas. Props to you. Okay. This 14-year-old said, not today. And before we get into the boo-boo crime because he dispatched a homeless person, well, let's first just make sure we understand. Okay, again, a homeless person is breaking into someone else's home. Said 14-year-old does not know this person's homeless. Said 14-year-old doesn't know this homeless person's intentions. Said 14-year-old said, before I have to wait and figure it out, let me just go ahead and take care of it. All right. Pretty sure that's not how the dialogue went. It'd have been kind of cool though, but no. Listen, I'm getting more and more requests and just inquiries about doing firearms training for minors. I am a certified instructor, working on another certification as we speak, but people are starting to think, listen, if nothing else, I need my child, my minor, my young son, my young daughter to understand how to handle the firearm, how to respect the firearm, how to handle the firearm safely. If we start teaching kids at an early age to where it's not really a fear thing, but more of a respect and an understanding that it's a tool, not a toy. I think listen, when you talk about firearm related deaths and they throw out a lot of different, things in that category, we could probably eliminate a lot of those that involve kids if we just start with the basics. There was a time in this country when that was taught in school. Let's let that sink in for just a second. Okay, anyway, the last hero I want to point out, and this guy's been a hero for most of his adult life, I'm sure, is Col John Warden. He's got a website out. Again, we'll have the link for that down in the description. He's got a website called winningpeerwars.com. The cool thing about this website, there's a couple of videos in there, but one of them is more of a call to action kind of thing. But the other one is, it outlines why there would even need to be a call to action. It paints a scenario in which it really wouldn't take too many steps for a country like China to inflict significant damage to this country. Now, I'm not talking about just, oh, they took over the power grid. Let's just pretend that's all they did. Flip of the switch, and suddenly this country is in freaking dire straits. Okay, if they just went and turned the knob on Facebook to the opposition, a lot of you would just lose it. Y'all would go straight bananas, man. Like, remember there was a commercial back in the day. It showed it was for Samsonite luggage, showing how tough it was. It would be they throw a piece of luggage in a cage with a silverback gorilla, and the silverback gorilla would just go off on this piece of luggage. That would be all of you. Okay, maybe not all, but most of you if Facebook got turned off. Okay, but he's talking about the power grid. He's talking about the water system. He's talking about just basic medications, food supply, things like that. This video points out all the different ways that if China just put a plan in place, how damaging it would be to this country. The significant amount of lives lost. It would be devastating. Let's not kid ourselves. It would be utterly devastating. The video is extremely well done. I can't recommend that video enough. And notice I didn't even mention anything there about cybersecurity, about them committing a cyber attack. If you watched the series of videos that we did for me being interviewed by my wife, I outlined some of that stuff in there. But China's the greatest threat we have in the cyber world, and it's not close. Okay, yes, Russia is Mr. and Mrs. Ransomware over there, but as strong as they are with stuff like that, China is still a much more significant threat. Just the facts. So again, check that out, winningpeerwars.com. How he came up with that name, I don't know. Okay, maybe he puts that in there somewhere, but it's a great site. Watch the videos, and let me tell you, it's eye-opening. As a guy who has followed the threat of China for about a decade now, I'm telling you right now, that's still pointing out some things that I hadn't even thought of, especially if you put it into a larger scale plan. Just an incredibly well done video outlining what the threat could be like. All right, so now to the section of why is that a thing? All right, I'm gonna throw two words out there for you, and in my opinion, these two words should never ever be put together, ever, ever. Squatters' rights. Why is that a thing? Squatters, why does the squatter have rights? You know, and why it's really coming up, like the story that really kind of made me go, what the? A lady in New York, Flushing, Queens, New York. I think the house was worth 1.3 million. Well, before people started going, oh my God, that's insanely expensive. It's a New York price. Keep that in mind. Apparently, she wasn't living in the house. Had some people do some work on the house. She knew she wasn't gonna be there for a while, so she asked people, okay, let's everybody clear out. Apparently, those people came back. That doesn't give them authorization to be there. Just because A, you were doing some work on the house prior, and B, just because you're not there does not give other people the right to be there. Why is there a thing called squatters' rights when A, in order for you to be a squatter, you have to break into the house? I play breaking and entering, or is that just me? You have to break into the house, and now you're trespassing on top of that. Now I know we're starting to see some of that in the Orlando area, in Georgia, the Atlanta area has had it bad. They have had the squatter situation bad. And Governor Kemp in Georgia, Governor DeSantis down here in Florida, they're signing legislation to eliminate the whole squatters' rights thing. But why is it? Why do they don't have rights? They're criminals. If you're a court system that says, "Oh, well, the squatter had rights," shame on you. Because now you're telling me that the person who 9 times out of 10 worked hard to buy the property doesn't have rights. They didn't commit a crime. Now, in Flushing, Queens, the cop said, yeah, you did. That was an unlawful eviction. How do you have an unlawful eviction when you don't have any paperwork saying the person has a right to be there? There's no lease agreement. There was no rental agreement of any kind. There was no, I'm going to be the living whatever. Why is that a thing? Here's the thing. The house we live in now, we moved in here, and then shortly thereafter, about 2 weeks later, we had a cruise I was planning for to celebrate my son's graduation. So we went on a 10-day cruise. I want you to know right now, if I'd have came back and found out that someone had been living in my house, I'd say for like 7 or 8 days before we got there, I'm going on record saying that person is going to exit my home in a much different situation than what they came in. It's my property. I have worked my butt off to be able to have said property in this house. If you want to break in, and hey, listen, how do I know if my wife would have came in the house first if this person would have been a threat? I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I will help you understand where your rights end, and it's basically at the property line. That's where your rights end. You don't have squatters' rights around here. So anyway, I gotta tell you, these eyeglasses are super comfortable. And I'll tell you why I think they're comfortable. They're from Columbia. Now, Columbia Sports Apparel is not sponsoring me in any way, shape, or form. They're not paying for me to say this, but I'm just going to have to say it. I had to get glasses recently because, again, I'm working on a new shooting cert, and it requires me to be able to see like I'm 20 years old again. When I was picking out frames, I put these on, so I, gosh, dang it, they are comfortable. They don't even feel like they're there. Now, I see they're there because I see the camera, but then I looked at the brand, and it made sense because literally I have all kinds of Columbia apparel. I love that store. The performance fishing gear. I've got a handful of those shirts from that line. I say a handful, like 5, 6, 7 of them. I don't know. The long sleeve, the button up shirts. I got like 5 or 6 of those. I got pants, shorts, shoes, socks. I've been to their store a few times, to say the least. So again, this is just a plug for them. Again, I'm not getting paid by them. I wouldn't be opposed to trying out some more stuff from them, but I love going to that store. But as soon as I put on these frames and realize who they were made by, just add that one to the list, man. Just super comfortable stuff. Moving on, let's skip over to some stuff constitutionally. Now, this is the DP2A Today show. So, the 2A part, we're going to get into that. What came before the Second Amendment? First Amendment. And this is some serious, crazy First Amendment stuff. I'm going to end up doing some reading to you, so I apologize ahead of time on that. But Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, she's the one that Biden nominated, and she's the newest one to be brought on. I don't know that I can define what a woman is because I'm not a biologist, and I thought, oh, God. Hey, look, I'm not a veterinarian either, but I can point out a cow when I see one. So anyway, I would expect my Supreme Court justices to be really, really good at knowing the Constitution. Not interpreting, okay, it's not your job to try and interpret what the founders meant. It's really not. And people say, no, that's how they, no. It's pretty clear in there. The Constitution is clear, honestly. There's not a whole lot of digging around, but when they say, well, we have to interpret it, they don't really mean that. Because if they really tried to dig in and understand what these guys were thinking when they wrote it, let's just say there's some stuff in the 50s that got put into the Constitution. Right? You can't really put stuff in the Constitution, but there's a line that gets used regarding the First Amendment that I believe is 1954. The justices basically legislated from the bench, also not what you're supposed to do, and put something in there and started calling stuff unconstitutional based on the something separation, blah, blah, blah. It's not in there. Okay. And so many people I talk to, when you say that's not in there, like, of course it's in there. And you go, okay, well, there's like 8,000 ways to look at the Constitution on your phone. Go find it. And it's not there. At any rate, we're going to talk about the First Amendment here with Justice Jackson, who basically said My biggest concern is that your view has the First Amendment hamstringing the federal government in significant ways in the most important time periods, she told lawyers representing Louisiana, Missouri, and private plaintiffs. So essentially, there's state attorney generals involved here. And so I guess some might say that the government actually has a duty to take steps to protect the citizens in this country, and you seem to be suggesting that the duty cannot manifest itself in the government encouraging or even pressuring platforms, Facebook, X, in general, to take down harmful information, she continued. So can you help me? Because I'm really worried about that because you got the First Amendment operating in an environment of threatening circumstances from the government's perspective, and you're saying that the government can't interact with sources of those problems. Yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. That's 100% what we're saying. The Constitution is meant to say, hey, government, on your side of the fence and just do your whole government thing, and citizens will stay on our side of the fence. It's that problem when the government starts saying, hey, we need to protect you from you. No, government, your job is to protect us from external threats. I took an oath to protect the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Government's whole responsibility according to the Constitution is just protect its citizens. But you know what? When you start saying that it's on the government to say, hey, we got to take down misinformation, what that means you're saying, hey, we need to be the purveyor of said misinformation. We need to be the ones to determine what is and what isn't. And that is a problem. Because when the government decides, hey, we've got an agenda to put out there, we have a narrative we want to spin, but then they can just take down all the stuff they're going, oh, that's misinformation. Even if it's the wholehearted, honest God, 100% truth. And understand this. There's no saying out there says the truth is the truth, no matter. No one believes it, it's still the truth. Just like a lie is always going to be a lie, even if everyone believes it. So if the government wants to push it, it might still be a lie, but they're like, oh, the other stuff, that's misinformation. Hopefully you guys understand and you can see why that's such a huge issue. It's an enormous issue. Yet, Supreme Court Justice Jackson doesn't seem to understand that. Isn't that strange? Like, yet justices that don't understand how the Constitution is supposed to work. They don't understand why the Constitution is there. It is there to protect us from the government. It's written as such, and it is never meant to be anything different. All right. 2A time. 2A time. It's my favorite time, honestly. I love to talk about the Second Amendment. I love to, again, as I mentioned in the last offshoots, maybe my views on the Second Amendment aren't as 100% stringent as some others, but they're pretty wide open. So, next one, just hang in with me a little bit. I'm not gonna be doing any reading, but you might hear this and first thought's gonna be like, how's that Second Amendment related? Okay, listen, fentanyl kills over 100,000 Americans a year. Some of you are already seeing where I'm going with this, I guarantee it. How's most of the fentanyl getting in this country, you think? Yeah, southern border. And it's to the point where, let's say you take opioids for pain. Understand, unlike some of the knuckleheads and some of the pharmacies I've been to, I'm not here to judge you on it. I'm not. I've never seen anybody who gets like, hey, opioids are bad. I've never seen a person jump up there and yell about how bad opioids are with a limp because their back hurts or something like that. Anyway, it's not the point. I'm not here to judge you if you're taking opioids. Gotcha. Okay. But some of the opioids related deaths has been caused by fentanyl overdose. 100,000 people a year. Now, by way of comparison, gun-related crime. And again, you got to take out the self-offing versions of gun-related crime. because that doesn't count. That's it's not crime. That's a different issue we need to tackle. And I do have something in the works going to talk about that entire situation, beginning to end. But you got to take that out of there. That's not a gun-related crime. That is someone who is massively depressed using a gun to finish the deal. So when you take that out, it's not even close. Yet, let's take the guns out of the citizens' hands. The very means they had to protect themselves. Let's take that away from them. While leaving the southern border wide open to allow people to come in who have been proven to be, a lot of them have committed rapes, gang-related stuff, carjackings, you name it. Okay, and I'm not saying all of them are doing that. Lord knows it would be something crazy if 30 million people who cross the border illegally are doing that. However, that is where the flow of fentanyl really is coming from. Will it come from a different direction if we stop it there? Maybe, maybe. Okay, but it's a very dangerous thing, and yet we don't seem to give a crap about it at the federal government level. We care about pew pews. You just let that one sink in. That is what? It makes about as much sense as squatters' rights. Let's talk about the ATF for a second. ATF. This is the most unconstitutional thing going on right now. Is you have the ATF that literally will come out and make laws related to guns, explosives, alcohol. You get the whole deal. How are they allowed to make laws? They're an unelected body of government. Not even a body of government. They're just an organization. They're not elected officials, and therefore they do not have any legal grounds to make federal law. But guess what they're doing? You guessed it. That's where basically the pistol brace thing came from. That's where I know before somebody say something, but it still comes out of the ATF. Um, that's where the whole short barrel rifle thing comes from in the beginning, which is the stupidest thing ever. What's a short barrel rifle? You can be able to conceal it more. In what? In what? Painter's overalls? And between that and Joe Biden's mighty Department of Justice unveiled a new entity that will train state and local officials in the procedures of applying red flag laws to confiscate firearms from guns directed themselves or others. How the heck would they know sometimes? Because 9 times out of 10, they don't know. And the unfortunate thing is, in the end, they're not going to be given any due process. Someone's just going to knock at the door and say, hey, your neighbors reported you 3 times that you're a threat. And they recorded you having an ill conversation about the height of their bushes. You must be a threat. And they heard you shooting guns in your backyard. You must be a threat. Let's cough up those guns there, Scooter. That's the very definition of unconstitutional. That's unconstitutional in a nutshell. Okay, that is a clear violation of "Thou shalt not be infringed" in the Second Amendment. I can't I can't be any more clear on that one. Stop the insanity. Time to have a little fun with some of this. I'm trying to have fun with the last part, right? But there's some of it that's some of this is straight up cringeworthy, and then there's others just kind of funny. And I'm a veteran, so for me, even cringeworthy stuff is kind of funny sometimes. That's not good. So we're gonna laugh at the stuff where you're going, ooh, you're not supposed to laugh at that. I'm like, ooh, okay, all right, duly noted. My bad. We will try not to laugh at it next time. So, at any rate, let's kind of pick it up real quick here. Gino, man, Gino, looking in with that uniform straight off the block. Now I noticed his hair, right? NGL, not gonna lie, I had to jump through hoops and hurdles to keep my locks in the army, just showing y'all it's actually possible. Man, I should have thrown that one in with the squatters. Like, why is that a thing? No, bro, this isn't the individualism hour. Listen, in the Army, we call it 670-1. You don't comply with that, and listen, there's other places you can go work. Why is it okay? What kind of stinking army are we becoming? Where you can wear your uniform any old way, you can wear your hair any old way, and he's got full beard, mustache, locks. My man, our idea of locks was like the fuzz on a tennis ball. That was our idea of locks back in the day. So I guess it's the new army right there. This is just classic. Yeah, you can read it. It's big words, big letters. I carry a gun because a cop is too heavy. Listen, I love the cops, right? And before you start bashing me, oh, the cops aren't great. Look, man, there's bad people in every walk of life. Every profession out there, there's some bad ones, right? But I'm gonna be willing to bet that 99.5% of the cops out there are good people trying to do the right thing. Okay. This is funny. This is funny. Because again, when seconds matter, police are only minutes away. Sheriff Grady Judd, he'll tell you, hey, look, I can't have my guys everywhere at once. You need to protect yourself. Someone's breaking into your home, take care of it the best way you know how, and we'll be there to help clean it up. And he's not saying cover it up. He's saying we're going to do the right thing. We're going to take care of what needs to be taken care of after the fact. But until then, you need to protect yourself. College women should not have guns because women fearing rape may pop a round at somebody. If you voted for that guy in Colorado, Joe Salazar, if you voted for that guy, what were you thinking? Oh, oh Lord. You're right. They might fear being raped. And generally, I think it's fair enough to trust them when I think that might be about to happen. Help them. Right? Let's see, it's called a capital crime, right? So, fear, death, bodily harm. These are the kind of things that you're allowed to protect yourself from. Severe bodily harm. That includes rape. That's something you're allowed to, as you put it, Mr. Salazar, pop around at somebody. So, ladies out there, if you feel like you're about to get raped, pop two of them. Double tap. It's good for the body. Joe Salazar, you're an idiot. This is literally one of my all-time favorites right here. Okay, New York Daily News writer Gersh Kuntzman. I'm gonna try and pronounce that the way that's actually PG-13 a little bit. Gersh Kuntzman on firing an AR-15. It's horrifying. It's menacing. It's very, very loud. I felt like a bazooka. Sounded like a cannon. What did you shoot, dude? The recoil bruised my shoulder. Okay, so at that point I had to go, did you really fire an AR-15? Like, seriously, dude, don't lie to me. That one line, I went, man, I think you're lying to me. I think, far be it from members of the press to lie to us, I think you're lying to me. AR-15s have very, very little recoil, especially for what they're doing. Okay. The recoil bruised my shoulder. It gave me temporary PTSD. Now, this is another one where, you've heard me say in some other videos, I hate buzzwords. People who's claiming, I got PTSD, and it cheapens it for people who do. I got temporary PTSD because you squeeze a trigger on something you probably didn't squeeze a trigger on, or you squeeze a trigger on something that someone told you was an AR-15, but really wasn't. Like, I don't know. I don't know. You're lost somewhere. Best part, 8-year-old girl. Well, that was fun. Yeah. Gersh. Mm, I think you had some testicles removed somewhere along the way or something. I don't know how to explain how dumb that is. Again, I think you might be misleading us a little bit there. All right, this one. I'm just going to explain this a little bit. This one is detailing UK violent crimes and firearm ownership. This This graph is a relationship between UK instituting their handgun ban and the relationship between that and violent crime. Now, as some years back, I actually went and kind of looked up in the FBI's data compared to the UK's data. The UK had 4 times as much violent crime per capita as we do. Something to be said about that Second Amendment thing. When you have the ability to defend yourself, isn't that, isn't that a thing? Isn't that important? But when they can't, you know, even and there's actually a line in here that talks about firearm crime. What, you ban handguns, but there's still firearm crime. Go figure, right? I don't know, maybe someone's hunting someone with their or committing violent firearm crimes with their 30-06 or something. Because it just says firearm crime, but they had a handgun ban. Um, it's gotten so bad that with knife crimes there, stabbings and such, that they're talking about registering all knives, including like steak knives. Can you imagine? Can you imagine sitting down in a decent steak place and every knife in there's got like a barcode on it. You gotta like check it out to use. It's just listen. There's too much evidence out there to show all these firearm bans don't work. They don't do anything except put us in more danger. And it's like if someone says, "All right, look, man, that guy wrecked his car and killed 8 people. We should start taking people's cars away." I mean, not that we have enough car accidents to justify that, but that guy wrecked his car though. So, UK prime example of that didn't work. This is the greatest firearm meme of all time. I don't care who you are. That's the greatest firearm meme of all time right there. Depth Finder picking up weird stuff at the lake today. You know. That's my entire collection. Plus what's maybe up here a little bit. Maybe a couple more back here. Anyway, uh, hey, listen. I had them, but you see what happened. Let me see if I can give you a grid coordinate to go find them for me. This next one though, I'm gonna finish on some. I'm gonna finish on a light note. This is not the light note.
40-year-old transgender lesbian. I dare you to try and stop me from going into a women's bathroom. This is a call to action. You need to arm up. Plain and simple. The time to act is now. I do not fear Christians. I do not fear conservatives. I do not fear evangelicals. And I do not fear Republicans. You're going to know what fear actually feels like. There are lots of people like me who are not afraid to die. You've been warned.
What? That wasn't even the funny light note that I'm going to finish on. That wasn't even the that wasn't even supposed to be the funny part. That was hilarious, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. 40-year-old lesbian, I assure you, if I see my wife or daughter going into a public women's restroom, and you go to follow them in there, you can't introduce me to more fear than I've already seen. So let's rock and roll. Let's do what we got to do. But you ain't going in there. I assure you that. I assure you that. Your call to action, my call to action started years and years and years ago. And that action has continued to roll. Welcome to the party, I guess. But I promise you, you ain't gonna like that end result. All right. That's hilarious. You want to show me what fear feels like? Listen, just stop. Just stop. All right, so after this one has actually nothing to do with anything that I've talked about so far. I just think these are hilarious. If you ever seen like the Key and Peele skits on the college All-American teams with the crazy names that some of them have, most of it's completely fabricated, except they'll every now and then put in "Ha ha Clinton Dix" in there or something, where you're like, oh no, that's a real player. This one, these are real names. Yep, there you go. There's your all name team. General Booty's going to lead at quarterback. I'm sorry, listen. Dads, moms, If your last name is Booty, you can name your kid General. Yeah, I like where you're going with this. Yeah. Dabo Fofana, Rowdy Beers. Same, same. Listen, if your last name's Beers, you got some stuff to work with there. Like, oh, I'm always pregnant. Ooh, let's get to work on this name thing. Rowdy. That kid's got, I mean, he's got a rite of passage he's got to work with there. Jaden Muskrat. I'm sorry, I missed a couple of them. Dakotas Crawford. Yeah, he's actually a really good player. I've seen some of his high school tape. He's a good player. Fat Watts. All right, King Large. I gotta be honest. If your last name's Large and the best you came up with there was King, it's good, but you could do a little better, man. Something like EXTRA. That's right, extra large. Something, right? Playing center for the all name team is Parker Titsworth. Oh my God. I mean, every kid, male and female, that as they're growing up and they realize what the significance of having the last name Titsworth is, at some point in their life they do this. Ooh, okay. I don't want it. Dodge Saucer. I recommend dodging saucers too, especially when your wife's mad. And Hannah's Hammer. I think Hammer's a great name, but I think y'all missed the boat too. Last name like Hammer, man, you got so much to work with. So Hannah's Hammer, when you have kids, me to you, call me. We'll come up with something together because what you got the basis of something special there. So anyway, if you've never seen those Key and Peele skits, my gosh, you gotta go check those out. You got to go see them. Anyway, that's all we got for today. I really enjoy you guys being here. Please like and subscribe. Share this out to all your friends. Leave me some comments, feedback. I'm a thick-skinned veteran. I always like the constructive feedback. I appreciate that stuff. I love you guys. I'm excited to keep doing stuff like this, putting some content out there for you, give you some things, some food for thought. You guys obviously see where I lean. I love God. I love my country. I love my family, and I really enjoy teaching people to shoot stuff. Kind of where I like to roll. I'm a cyber guy after that. I'm a business owner. I love to do things that are productive, make money, make an impact. And that's the entire goal of what we do with everything that we're trying to accomplish is to make an impact. So hope you enjoyed it. We will come back at you next week with some more offshoots.